part of about all this is that none of us is free from pride. Every one of us is guilty of pride. No one is free from it. Not you, not me. I'm guilty of it. You're all guilty of it. Pride comes into every one of our hearts. And if you wanted to know just how prideful you are, ask yourself, how much do you not like it when people disregard you? When people overlook you? When people underappreciate you? When people don't give you credit? You see, all these things, when people do them to us, our pride takes a blow. And it revolts us. We cannot stand it because our pride is being beaten down. That is because of our pride. You see, crazy thing is, even though we have our own pride, we hate it when other people display pride. That is because the very nature of pride is competition. We find it disgusting and primitive when people show pride, but we ourselves are harboring pride deep within our hearts. We hate when people show off. We hate when they take the spotlight onto themselves. We hate when they take all the credit. We hate this because pride is competitive by nature. Everything about it is about competition, and you want to be on the top of that competition. You hate when others take the spotlight because you wanted that spotlight. When people take all the credit because you wanted that credit. That is because of our pride within us. And another thing about pride is it gets no pleasure in having something. All the pleasure it gets comes from having more of that something than everyone else. The more you have it, the more pleasure it has. The more you have it than the person next to you, the more pleasure it gives you. Not the very fact that you have it. No, there's no pleasure in that. We say people are proud of things like being famous, or being rich, or being good looking, or being smart. But no, the pride from that is really that they are more famous, richer, more good looking, and smarter than other people. Because if everyone was just as equally smart, equally rich, equally good looking, then everyone is average. That's the definition of average. Everyone is average and there's nothing to be proud of. When everyone is on the same platter, there's no competition. Therefore, nothing for you to be proud of. That is because pride runs on competition. It is driven by competition. Other seeds can be competitive, but that is only out of coincidence. You see, a group of people who are in pursuit of one specific sin can coexist peacefully, but not a group of people running on pride. You can find good fellowship and togetherness in a group of prostitutes that are working together to maximize their profits. And you can also find a group of worthless, drug-addicted, alcohol-dependent men who are working together to work on their next fix. You can see that. But two men who are running on pride will never get along. Two prideful people will not get along. They'll keep on fighting to be on the top. They'll keep on cheating each other to be on the top. You see, the prostitutes might fight every now and then when the clients are running low, or the drunks might fight for the last bottle. And two womanizers might fight for one girl. But the prideful person will go after another man's girl, not because he's interested in her, but simply because he wants to prove himself a better man than him. Only to feed his pride. That is where it comes from. And if we're to analyze ourselves, we're guilty of these things. Of being prideful. And I am no exception because I did something like that. You know, Kim and I know this, but I do have an ex. And the only reason why I went out with her was because every guy in the neighborhood wanted her. I wasn't too interested in her. But I went for her because I understood that if I got her, that would prove that I am better than all these guys. Every time we spoke about girls, her name would come out. And this was a long time ago in Zimbabwe. I only did it because I wanted to prove myself above all the other guys. That is why I did it. But there was no fulfillment at all out of that relationship. It quickly fell to shambles. Because there was no love in it from the beginning. Everything about it was wrong. And everything else about it was entirely against God. But that is how pride can influence us. It comes to us and it corrupts our values. It comes to us and corrupts our reasoning. It makes us do things that we otherwise would not do. You see, pride is so powerful and influential that it can be the driving force behind other scenes as well. You see, greed can drive two men to fight for the last bottle, or prostitutes to fight for clients. But pride will drive a person to get more, even though he already has enough that he knows what to do with, simply because he wants to assert his dominance. Simply because he wants to make sure everybody understands that he's better than them. That is what pride does. That is what it does to us. Greed and selfishness, they're really just extreme expressions of pride. Greed will drive someone to get more money for the sake of a bigger house, a better vacation, better food, a better car. But once he's upgraded these things a couple of times, you eventually be satisfied. But a person who is driven by pride will keep working for more money until he has the biggest house, the best vacations, the best food, the best car in town than everyone else he cares to think about. That is what pride does. Pride makes rich people want to be richer than other rich people. Which is why you see rich people always working day and night to get more money. But you look at them and say, you have all the money a sentient person can ask about. Why are you still working yourself like that? Because they want to be richer than the next rich guy. To feed their pride. And pride will never be satisfied until it has the most and the absolute best compared to everyone else around you. I mean, think about it. If I came to you privately and told you that I really appreciate the person you are, I love the way you do your things, I think you're a really godly person, and just to encourage you in the way that you do your things, I want to give you this $1,000. I want to be very clear. I'll be very excited. I'll be very happy that I give you $1,000 because you're a good person. But once you find out that I went to everybody else, told them the exact same thing, and also gave them $1,000, you don't feel special anymore. All of a sudden, you're not special anymore. Because there's no more competition. Everybody else has what you have. So there's nothing for you to be so happy about, to be so proud about. Maybe you might appreciate the money because it helps you meet your ends, pay your bills, pay your car note, whatever it is. But you're not going to feel special because you received that money. That is because of our pride. And again, something similar happened to me. I remember one of my classes, dynamics. It's a very hard class. We took our midterm, a very hard test, and I got an 84 on it. And boy, I was so happy. I was like, I cannot believe I pulled off an 84 on this. And then we had a group chat in the class. I was like, guys, the grades are out. How did you guys do? And then these other girls were like, whoa, calm down, let me be a little too excited. I was like, what are you talking about? I got an 84. I have the right to be excited. And I was like, anyways, what did you get? Why are you talking so fancy? And he said, I got a 90. I was like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, I didn't feel so special that I got an 84. I was like, hey, you know what? We still pass. And actually, I did more than pass. I got a B. So there I was trying to reassure my pride again. Because it was pride that got me in the situation I was. And now I'm trying to appeal to that same pride so that I can restore my happiness in my grave. Instead of being just content with what the Lord had given me. And giving Him thanks for that. But my pride was eating at my appreciation. That is what pride does. You see, the most unfortunate thing about pride is that it pleasures itself in only two ways. Its personal gain or the misfortune of others. That's because only these two things will set you above others in the competition. Either you gain and get further in the competition, or someone loses and gets behind in the competition. That is the only way pride really gets its pleasure. You know, I really understood this when we were in Zimbabwe. One thing you will notice, like a sore thumb, is that the roads are so beat up. The roads, they have a lot of potholes. There's a lot of dust roads. And when I was there in 2009, before I came, those roads are good. There was this road that was my favorite road. It's the name is Elizabeth Queens. I still remember the name. It was a very long black tar road that was always shining on midday. You will see the heat reflecting all of it. It's like glowing, and it's like the illusion of water on the road. But when I went there, I could barely even see the tarp. It looked like industrial. Driving down there, you see dust traveling behind you. I was shaking. And a lot of roads are falling out of disrepair like that. And then on top of that, you see some very luxurious cars driving in those cars on those roads. You see Land Rovers, you see Mercedes-Benz, a lot of BMWs, not old ones, the latest ones. And these people are paying good money for this. Okay? There was we went to a Mercedes dealership and we asked for the price of the same car that my mom drives. It's the Mercedes SUV. And that car, we asked them how much it was $160,000. And we got that car for like $16,000 here. So these people are paying a lot of money for these cars to drive them on the old beat up roads. And their houses are mansions. And next door to them are little shacks and little cottages. But they're okay with that. We're all wondering, how are they able to do this? They're driving in their luxurious cars, but next to them, the people suffering the road itself is evading potholes. How are they doing these things? But then, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it was all because of their pride. Because the more beat down their neighbors are, the better their mission will stand out. The more dirty the road is, the more their car will shine. You see, the beauty of stars is only enjoyed in the nighttime, not in daytime. And if you really want to enjoy more of that beauty, you gotta go far into the country where there's no light pollution from the cities. The darker it is, the more those stars glow. Same thing with these people. If the neighborhood is all beat up and their mission is intact, when you drive down that neighborhood, you'll definitely see that mission. And when you drive past all the other regular cars, you definitely see that new BMW or that new Mercedes. You won't miss it. They're doing this to feed their pride. Because pride is all about competition. Being on top of that competition, that is the nature of pride. That is how it works. But I must say, pride in itself is not a sin. Pride is one of the emotions that God himself designed the human heart to undergo and to experience. So pride in itself is not a sin, but when we let our pride get out of hand, that is when it goes in opposition to God. Just like anger, love, joy, pride also serves a purpose in the human hearts. It also serves a purpose in our lives. I mean, self-respect, dignity, they're all great virtues for a person to have. But if you really think about it, they're nothing but minor forms of pride. The dignity you have for yourself, the self-respect you have for yourself, those are intact forms of pride. Pride you have in yourself, which is healthy for you to have. Pride can actually be useful too in fighting against lesser sins or faults within us. You can appeal to a misbehaving boy by telling him to behave like a big boy or to behave like a man. You'll drop down the little behavior he's doing and start trying to be better. And you can do the same thing with adults. If they're fighting and bickering, and so the new people are acting like little children. And they'll start turning heads and they'll stop and peace will be restored. And a man fighting lust can refrain from giving in to the temptation of women by telling himself that it's beneath his dignity to defile himself with such women. So all of these, they're forms of pride that we're taking in ourselves, but they're healthy and serving a good purpose. But when we have to really guard ourselves because the devil is a cunning creature. And I must say, our pride in moderate amounts can actually be helpful in keeping us more peaceful and more holy. And we can see this in Luke chapter 12, verse 48. Because you can see a young woman keeping herself pure from God by using her self-respect and dignity. And you can see a young man also doing the same thing, being dignified the way he walks in order to avoid temptation. So when you use pride in good amounts, it can actually help us live holy lives and obedient lives to God. If you have it, please go on.
Chapter 7.
Luke 12, 48.
Peace in the name of Yeshua.
Amen.
Luke chapter 12, verse 48. It says, "But he that knew not and did not commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given,
Unto whomever much is given,
of him shall be much required.
much is expected."
And to whom men have committed much,
Yes.
of him they will ask the more."
Amen. So over here, Jesus is actually appealing to our self-dignity, our self-respect, that if I put more in your hands, I expect more of you. So it is up to you to use your dignity to live up to what the Lord is commanding you, to what He's telling you, that He's given you so much wisdom. He has poured His Spirit within you in great amounts. So you're supposed to use it with respect, with dignity, and provide fruits for Him. So He's making an appeal to a minor form of pride within us right here. And it is a good thing. But we must always take care and always be watchful and praying, because the devil will sneak in and try and corrupt that. He is evil, and he will sneak in, he will sneak pride into our good dignity and self-respect and try and corrupt it to make it vile and disgusting before the Lord. Instead of pleasing God, that in heaven, because we have self-control, because we have discipline, because we hold ourselves with dignity, the same dignity that a child of God should have, we become distasteful in His sight if we allow pride to grow too much. And we see this in Luke chapter 18, verse 9 to 14. Okay, this will be the longest chapter that we're going to read, and then from there on it's just a breeze. Luke chapter 18, verse 9 to 14. So again, when the devil sneaks into our hearts and inflates the pride within us, instead of being pleasant to God, instead of being self-controlled and having dignity, we become corrupt and disgusting before Him. And I mean that. Luke chapter 18, 9 to 14.
Peace in the name of Yeshua.
Amen.
Luke chapter 18,
9 to
verse
14.
9 to 14. "And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous, and despised others."
Yes. So He is directing this parable to people who consider themselves righteous and look themselves above other people. These are people that have too much pride. Go on, please.
10.
Yes.
2 men went up into the temple to pray,
Yes.
the one a Pharisee and the other a publican.
Yes.
The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, "God, I find thee that I am not as other men are,
Yes.
extortioners,
He's not an extortioner.
unjust,
He's not unjust.
adulterers,
He's not an adulterer.
or even as this publican."
And even as this publican. And these, if we're to be honest, are good things within themselves. It is a good thing for you to be just. It is a good thing for you to not be an extortioner. It is a very good thing for you to not be an adulterer. To be holy and chaste. But go on, please.
12.
Yes.
"I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess."
Yes.
And the publican, that's 13 now, "and the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner."
Be merciful to me, a sinner.
14. "I tell you, this man went down to the house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted."
Please in Yeshua's name.
Amen.
So this man who kept himself holy, who was righteous, who was not an extortioner, who prayed and fasted all the time, instead of pleasing God, he became distasteful to God, and he was struck down and thrown into fire. And that is because of pride. Because when the devil is snuck in, you'll be more than glad to let you maintain your purity, to let you keep away from alcohol, to let you be truthful, as long as you can establish the dictatorship of pride in your heart. Because everything else you do, every other virtue you have, will become meaningless before the Lord. It will destroy everything. Because pride is like spiritual cancer. It will eat up any ability to love, to be satisfied, or even reason with common sense. So everything else that you do becomes meaningless because of pride. And just like physical cancer, pride starts off very small and slowly grows and affects other areas. It affects every aspect of our lives and even the way that we resolve our disagreements. You see, I've been doing some thinking over our behavior when we're trying to resolve conflicts or having arguments, and the way that we make attempts to reason with each other. And I saw that a lot of the times we're blinded by our pride when we're trying to do these things. Every time we have a disagreement, our primary objective is to be right and prove the other person wrong. We all want to win the argument. That is the objective on the forefront of our minds. When we engage people into discussion, we want to be right and we want them to be wrong. We feel that every argument we have puts our pride and dignity at stake. If I lose, I won't be trustworthy anymore. If I lose, I'll look dumb and this person will look smart. Or worse, if I lose, I may be made to apologize. And that is the worst thing that can happen to pride. Being made to apologize, because apologizing means admitting fault. Therefore, I must win. We forget that our prime objective is to reach an agreement when we have a disagreement. Our prime objective is to reach a middle ground, a resolution in order for peace to go about. And this is in Romans 12, verse 18. Romans 12, verse 18. This is almost finished, and if you can bear with me, I didn't realize it would be this long.
Romans 12:18.
Yes. Amen.
If it be possible, as much as lieth in you,
as much as it depends on you,
live peaceably with all men.
Live peaceably. Do everything you can. Everything that depends on you to reach peace, to acquire peace in every situation. As long as it depends on you, God expects you to do it. If you use all your mind to prove yourself right and the other person wrong, how worthful would it be if your brother or your sister is left in shambles? If your relationship with them is damaged, even though you came out right, what good is it going to do? What good is it going to do if your wife thinks of you as cold-hearted? What good is it going to do to you if your sister can no longer see you as a loving brother? Sure, you are right, but the other person is left damaged. But all too often, we disregard these people who love us, and we choose to feed our pride instead. Instead of hearing them out on how they feel, on what is paining them, we instead focus on showing them why they are wrong for feeling that way. And we work so hard to devalidate them until they feel invalid. We all do this in different ways. And I am not an exception. I also do this. When we have arguments, and when we have our arguments and are interested in securing peace, as the Lord commanded us, in working towards peace and a resolution, we should acknowledge when other people are right. We shouldn't just focus on the wrong statements that they're making so that we can regularly attack them when it's our turn to speak. Listen to everything that they have to say, everything that is right. Let them know and acknowledge that you're right on this thing. And then apologize when it is appropriate. If they're right on something, it probably means you're wrong on that something. So you should apologize for that something. And apologizing is the biggest blow we can do against our own pride. If we're serious to lower down our pride, apologizing is the best thing we do. And every time we apologize, our brain is wired to do it better the next time. It gets better at it. And when we have done all that we can, when we have done this, we can now proceed to let them know, to help them see how we feel that they are wrong in a certain area. When they arrive, to let them know, you know what, I didn't see it that way. I'm sorry about that. And then you tell them that if I can help you see this way, because I think you may be mistaken in this. And you help them come to an understanding about that. And in closing, we should not think that pride is something that God forbids. Again, it is an emotion of the heart. And we do experience it at times. But not every time is it wrong that we have it. And I'm just going to read a small passage from Mere Christianity because C.S. Lewis put it very beautifully over here. he says, pleasure in being praised is not pride. The child who is patted on the back for doing a lesson well, the woman whose beauty is praised by her lover, the stepson to whom Christ says, well done, I please and ought to. For here the pleasure lies not in what you are, but in the fact that you have pleased someone you wanted to please, and rightly so. Because it is a good thing for a child to want to please their parent. And when they have done it, they should feel happy that they did it. It is a good thing for a wife to want to please her husband. And when she has done it, she should feel pride that she has done it. And same thing for their husband. But now, the trouble begins when you pass from thinking, I have pleased them, all is well, to thinking, what a fine person I must be to have done it. The more you delight in yourself and the less you delight in the praise, the worse you are becoming. So the more you say to yourself, you know what? I am so great. I am awesome. I please this person. This person is hard-headed, but I did it. I make him happy. Look at the small expense. That's because of me. Right there, that is pride. When your teachers are happy with you, your parents are happy with you, look at them. All these people that are happy because of what I can do. I'm good at this. Then your pride is getting inflated and is getting out of control, and God no longer sees anything good in that pride. And He doesn't delight in it. And then to close, I'm just going to read this verse for myself. 1 Peter 3:18. Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. We have to put on humility in our fight against pride, because humility is a direct opposite of pride. God all the time encourages us to put on our humility, because He pulls down the pride and He uplifts the humble. So as we fight against pride, and as we strive to minimize its influence in our lives, in our decision making, in the things that we do, we have to consider humility. We have to take it up, and it's going to be hard because pride is a natural thing. But if we are empowered by the Lord, if we put ourselves in His hands, by His Spirit we will overcome. By His Spirit will become better people who please Him, people who are humble, people who do not brag, people who do not show off, people who express pride when it is needed in appropriate amounts, not inflated. We have to give ourselves to the Lord for this to happen. So may the Lord bless you. And may He put His Spirit upon you. And may His understanding be with you. In Yeshua's name.
Shout hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shout hallelujah.